order again at 5 o'clock. We have confirmation of a quorum.
Yes, we do.
We do have a quorum. At this time, I'd like for everyone to please stand for our Pledge of Allegiance to our flag and our Pledge of Allegiance to our Texas flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one indivisible. At this time, let's recognize a moment of silence, please. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is do we have any workshop or public hearings to announce? Where's Ms. Gilbert? Nothing?
None at
Okay.
this time.
Public comments? Any public comments?
No public comments.
Okay, as we move along, we have consent agenda items. We have 9 items for consent. Are there any questions or comments by any of the board members on these 9 items? Discussion?
I move to approve the consent items as presented.
I'll second that.
We have a motion by Mr. Martinez, a second by Dr. Holman. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those against? This motion passes. Now I'm going to ask that we move item number 8 to the front of the line on the items for individual consideration. Mr. Pequeño, do we have any issues on that?
That's fine. You can change the order of the agenda.
Okay, so if we change the order and bring it up to the front of the line on items for individual consideration, that item is consideration and possible action on selecting a new chairman of the Brownsville Public Utility Board and any other officers, positions as needed to be effective July 2nd, 2025. So that's the item we have before us. We're moving it to the front. Any discussion by my fellow board members? Any motions? Is Dr. Zamora on?
Hi, yes, I make a motion to appoint Mr. Gerardo Martinez to be chair of the board.
Okay, we have a motion by Dr. Zamora to move Mr. Martinez to become the chair. We have a second.
I'll second that.
We have a second by Dr. Holman. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. All those against? That motion passes. I think at this time, we also need to take a motion for vice chair of the board. Any motions or discussion?
Yeah, a motion to appoint Al Villarreal as you consider being vice chair.
I second that motion.
We have a motion for Mr. Alvarado to become the vice chair of the board, second by Dr. Zamora. Any comment, Mr. Vidal? Okay, all those in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those against? Congratulations to Mr. Martinez and to Mr. Vidal. Become the chair and the vice chair. So at this time, Mr. Pequeño, is it time to move chairs?
Yes, you can go ahead and do that now if you want.
The motion was to after his
Oh, that's
term was
right.
over, which is on July the 1st. So right now, you're still our chair unless you all make another motion and make it effective immediately.
How does the board feel about that?
I think we can wait.
I think July 2nd sounds good.
It's a final punishment for me. All right, well, I appreciate that, and congratulations again on these two very fine board members. So then we'll move back up to the items for individual consideration. Ms. Gilbert, General Manager's report.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair and Vice Chair. At this time, right now, we have in your board packet the board calendar. In your board calendar, you have the next upcoming meetings. We have a June 18 PubCap meeting. We have our next SRWA board and PUB board meeting on July the 7th. We also have a PubCap meeting on July the 16th, and then followed by the August 4th meeting. There's other events on your packets, and also I'm just going to highlight the holidays. Our offices will be closed on June 19 for Emancipation Day. June 20, we have another holiday, and we have a floating holiday at that point, and then July 4th, Independence Day. At this time, any questions on the other events or holidays?
Any questions, comments on the board calendar for Ms. Gilbert?
Okay. I do have an industry update and PUB update. I just wanted to let you know that staff informed me earlier today that we're currently experiencing some billing issues due to the introduction of a new meter types in our systems. And these new meters are causing compatibility issues with the billing platform, which has delayed delays in some customer bills. We are correcting the affected accounts to ensure the timely billing, and we will provide an update at the next board meeting of the issue at stake. Thank you for your time and consideration, and just right now, there are very few accounts. Eventually, the full billing cycle will be up to date.
Ms. Gilbert, when did y'all learn about this?
Within the last few weeks, actually before, not before the last board meeting, but maybe about a week and a half ago.
And this is being broadcast through our social media platform?
The customers that are currently being affected, my understanding from staff this morning was that there was a bill insert that indicated what the issue was, that their bills was delayed. Some customers have informed us that they did not receive their bills, and so they were doing that, and we are aware of the issue. We just want to make sure that all of the customers are aware that we know the concern and the delay in the billing, and the billing has been corrected. We are aware of the issue.
Thank you. The next item, we don't have any items pulled out of a consent for discussion, so I'll mark off 2. We'll go to number 3, staff reports and presentations to the board. Our first one is announcement of the 2025 Brownsville Public Utility Board Project Share Scholarship recipients. Miguel Colis. Miguel here? Who's presenting that, Ms. Gilbert?
Thank you.
Good afternoon, board members. So I'll be presenting on behalf of Mr. Collis. He had a family emergency. So I'm very excited about this project. This is actually my first time presenting about the Share Scholarship. So this year, for the past 18 years, BPUB has been provided to high school seniors scholarships to continue with their education. Approximately for the past 18 years, we have had 187 recipients, totaling $183,500 in total scholarships. Today, we're honored to have here all of the awardees, and of course, we would like for all of you to take a picture with them. And let me just explain you a little bit about the criteria and how they were selected. So for the requirements, of course, they had to fill out an application. They had to be living in a house where we were providing BPUB services, must be graduating from high school from 2024 to 2025 during this school year, and they need to be already admitted in a university here in the United States. Follow that, we also have an evaluation committee review in which they evaluated their GPA, extracurricular activities, community service, and essay as well. And from that evaluation, we selected the top 10 winners. And I'm glad to introduce you. Well, in total, we have 10 winners for a $2,000 scholarship, each of them. And if each of them, please, if each of you can please stand up as I mentioned you, so you can come here to the front and join us for a picture. So the first one is Miss Marbella Rivera from Gladys Porter High School, and Miss Mariana Lopez from Veterans Memorial Early College High School, Mr. Diego Padilla from Porter Early College High School, Miss Brianna Bracken from Veterans Memorial, Miss Ashley Michelle Carvajal from James Pace Early College High School, Mr. Luis Aranda from Veterans Memorial High School, Ms. Renata Treviño from Veterans Memorial High School, Ms. Samantha Ambris from Hanna High School, Mr. Adrian Garcia from Veterans Memorial High School, and Ms. Ruby Rodriguez from Simon Rivera Early College High School.
Thank you.
So at this moment, I would like to invite the board to join us here for a picture with the awardees and our executive team as well, please.
Okay.
And by the way, for those of you who were not present, thank you, Dr. Holman, for stopping by at the PubCap celebration. And we did have a small cupcake and to meet some, talk to some of the recipients.
Mayor, would you like to make any comments for these scholarship recipients?
I think they're walking out, but we're all very proud of you. Go
Don't leave.
go get your education and come back to Brownsville. We need you to continue, all the growth we're having. And so, again, congratulations and keep up the great work.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Let's move on to presentation and discussion of the Brownsville Public Utility Board financial performance reports. This was always very exciting, Mike.
Yes, I'll
Mr.
try to keep
Pettis.
it brief. So good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the board. My name is Mike Pettis. I'm the Chief Financial Officer, and I'll be presenting the financial performance report as of April 30, 2025. So here we've got the executive summary, which focuses on 7 categories. Each category has its own gauge meter, red representing poor, yellow average, and green is good. So on the flow of funds, PUB did generate $2,631,000 to replenish the improvement fund year to date, with a debt service coverage of 2.23 times, which is well above the 1.25 times minimum requirement. The fuel purchase and energy charge has generated an over recovery of just over $21 million as of April 30th, and this will be used to offset some future market uncertainty. The COB cash transfer is a little lower than budgeted due to a decrease in adjusted gross revenues. We did see the cash transfers down $100,000 from budget, but they are actually $500,000 above prior year's levels. On the personnel and non-personnel expenses, those came in lower than budgeted, about $4.7 million, and primarily due to some current vacancies and timing issues. BPUB's average bill is lower than both the average MOU bill and the average IOU bill for the 1,000 kWh user. That average electric bill is at $111.26. The CIP year-to-date actuals and committed total $26.3 million and $42.6 million respectively, which represent combined 90.6% of the fiscal year 25 approved plan. So we're doing good there. And all key financial metrics are currently in compliance. And so here we've got a condensed statement of revenues, expenses, and changes in net position. And so in the interest of time, I'm just going to focus on the April 25 year-to-date column. So operating revenues were $127,208,000. We back out operating expenses of $110,574,000 and arrive at operating income of $16,634,000. Backing out the non-operating expenses of $10,835,000, we end up with income before capital contributions of $5,798,000. We then add in the capital contributions of $9,132,000 and end up with an increase in net position year-to-date of $14,930,000. Adding this to the net position at the beginning of the fiscal year, we end up with a net position at the end of the year of $490,067,000. And so here we've got a condensed summary of revenues and expenses and the flow of funds. This is in accordance with the bond ordinance. We starting off operating revenues. We have $121,368,000. Other revenues were $14,238,000, bringing total gross revenues to $135,606,000 year-to-date. We then back out the fuel and the Southwest Regional Water Authority contributions of $42,865,000 and arrive at adjusted gross revenues of $92,741,000. This is the basis for the 10% city Brownsville transfer calculation. So the city is entitled to $9,274,000. We then back out the other requirements for the O&M, non-operating and debt service of $72,185,000 and arrive at a balance available after requirements of $20,555,000. We then back out the total cash utility benefit to the city of Brownsville at $9,274,000. And we end up with a balance available for transfers out or PUB uses of $11,281,000. That $11 million was then used to fund our CIP and other reserve requirements of $8,650,000, leaving a balance to replenish the improvement fund of $2,631,000. And here again, our debt service coverage ratio is at 2.23 times debt service. So that completes my presentation. I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Any comments, Mr. Nájera, Mr. Rosado? Questions for Mr. Pettis? Thank you, Mr. Pettis.
Thank you.
Next item for our presentation and discussion on the RFP for the commercial paper irrevocable letter of credit provider and debt overview. Mr. Pettis and Mr. Noe Hinojosa.
Yes, so good evening again. So BPUB is on its third and final year of a 3-year agreement with PNC Bank as the letter of credit provider for BPUB's commercial paper program. The agreement is due to expire November 7, 2025. As a result, we issued and advertised an RFP for a new letter of credit provider this past 2 Saturdays. The proposals are due June the 18th. With us today, we have Noe Hinojosa with Estrada Hinojosa to provide an overview of BPUB's commercial paper program, a review of a timeline for the RFP process, and to provide a debt overview and potential revenue bond refunding opportunity. Mr. Hinojosa.
Thank you, Mr. Pettis. Noe Hinojosa with Estrada Hinojosa and Company. Good afternoon. Congratulations. I know Mr. Rendon had a lot of fun being chairman, so welcome to the hot seat, Mr. Martinez. In any event, thank you for the opportunity to come before you. How does this move up and down?
Yeah, you can.
Oh, there it is. Got it. Thank you. So basically, the PUB has had this commercial paper program of about $100 million. It was instituted back in 2013, and you use it similar to what you and I would do with a credit card or a bridge loan when you're doing a mortgage financing or building a new home. You go and get an interim line of credit or letter of credit, and you use that cash or that tool, that financing mechanism, so that once you're done with the construction, you go out and fix it out over long term. And that's what the PUB has done over many years. You'll be in the next couple of weeks or so, you'll be hearing from your staff on CIP, on your IRP, and all of those projects may need funding in a very quickly fashion. You can't access the markets the way you can access this line of credit. So in anticipation of you having capital needs, in anticipation of having events of God that can happen, instead of hitting your liquidity reserves, you hit this commercial paper. Currently, the PUB has about $30 million outstanding of the 100, $30 million used out of the 100 million. So this commercial paper program needs to be extended for possibly another 10 years, the way we did the original one. So whatever actions take place today, we got to then go to the city commission and get their consent. We're anticipating, as Mr. Perez indicated, responses from a liquidity provider. There are two players that help you with the enforcement or the use of this letter of credit. One is the liquidity provider, which is someone who stands there in case the marketing agent, who happens to be JP Morgan, can now sell these notes whenever your staff calls and says, I need 5 million. If you can't place the 5 million, then the liquidity provider comes and says, here's a check for 5 million, while the marketing agent is placing those $5 million. So there's a fee associated with being a liquidity provider. There's also a fee associated with being a marketing agent. So right now we're looking for, as Mr. Perez indicated, a replacement of the existing PNC. It could very well be PNC again. It's an open process. You'll be hearing from your staff in the next couple of weeks or so, I believe, with a recommendation as to who that will be. We'll be helping them with that process. So in essence, once you approve it, this program right now expires on or about November. So we're hoping that by first or second week of August, we go to the commission, get their consent. If we get it, then we can probably close and have the new program in place by September. But, there are negotiations that occur between now and the commission meeting, and then even after the commission meeting with the LC provider, as far as terms and process and so on and so forth. So you just never know, and we're giving ourselves ample room for that. In the meantime, if you go, I don't know if you have this in front of you, but we looked at your debt portfolio, and that's all the mortgages, all the bonds that are currently outstanding at PUB. Today, PUB has about $254 million in outstanding debt, payable over a period of time. And like I said earlier, about $30 million of commercial paper outstanding. So you got about $284 million. So we looked at those bonds issued back in 2015, and there's about $41,680,000 that we can actually refinance for lower interest rates compared to today's markets, despite the fact that market conditions have been somewhat volatile. You can exchange those bonds for lower interest rates and provide a little bit of savings to the utility. So that, at the same time that we're doing the CP program, we're exploring the refinancing of that debt. So I'll stop, entertain any questions that you all have.
I have a question, a couple comments. I know, Marilyn, we've been working on a capital needs assessment. Some of our equipment is old. Are we working with Mr. Hinojosa in terms of financial needs for the future?
We've met several times recently, not like in the immediate recently, but probably a few months ago. We talked about our CIP, we talked about the needs, we talked about the various different IRPs, the outcomes that are coming out. The IRP, as you are aware, is not, we have a lot of our plans underway. One of them is our water and wastewater master plan, and that's going to dictate the capital needs of the utility. So those, as soon as we know what those needs are, then we will sit down with him and discuss what it is we need to do. Of course, on SRWA, we have sat down, we've met, and there's various different strategies that we've been closely monitoring and discussing on that, with that aspect to the expansion of SRWA that we would have to go through this board as well as the respective boards of the members of SRWA.
Joseph, any comments?
Now that we saw this during the finance committee meeting.
Okay.
So just as a recap, the action items are basically tonight, sort of accept the plan of finance, for lack of a better description. And then we will come back to you on or about July 7th for the ordinance, the actual document that will be given the authority to the issues of the CP program extension. And then we go to the commission shortly after, on or about July 22nd. And then we sell bonds hopefully sometime the week of August the 18th, and close on or about September the 10th.
Mayor, any comments? Okay, so this item, Mr. Pequeño, this item, an action item for, to move forward, that requires a vote from the board, it's just a presentation?
It was just a presentation.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
All right.
just a presentation.
Well, Mr. Nosa, we certainly appreciate you taking the time to come to this board and explain to us. And the refinancing of some bonds, Mike, are y'all working already with Mr. Nosa?
Yes, we are. Sorry.
Okay,
That refunding that he alluded to.
okay,
We're just,
all right. Anything else from any of the board members? Any comments? Thank you, Mr. Nosa.
Thank you for your
Appreciate
service, sir. Thank you.
that. All right, we'll move on to the next item. Presentation discussion on the operations and maintenance 6-month budget review. Mr. Santillan?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and members of the board. My name is Jorge Santillan, Finance Manager. I'm going to go over a brief overview of the 6-month budget review process. March 31st marks the halfway point of the fiscal year. This triggers the 6-month budget review that Finance coordinates to ensure that the approved O&M budget is accurate and on track. Once all expenditures have been recorded and the month is closed, Finance staff pulls reports of the approved budget, year-to-date actuals as of March 31st, percent spent, and the previous year's budget and March year-to-date actuals for all departments. Budgets are reviewed by Finance staff and specific accounts are identified for review based on this percentage spent column and previous year's spending trends, and then forwarded to the departments for their comments. During this process, Finance and the departments have discussions to ensure that their spending levels are on track and if adjustments need to be made, as this is the time to do so. Interdepartmental transfers may be needed to replenish accounts that are over budget. However, sometimes the department will identify budgeted amounts that will no longer be needed. Once identified, these funds are transferred to the contingency pool so Finance can reallocate if necessary throughout the remainder of the fiscal year. Let me go over now over the overview of the 2025 mid-year O&M budget summary. Beginning on the left side, the total O&M budget, $203 million. The year-to-date actuals shown in the lighter blue, $83.2 million, or 41% of the total budget. That leaves a budget balance of $119.8 million, or 59% of the total budget. Also, at the end of the first half of the year, we have $19.1 million in open purchase orders or commitments, and these will get paid later in the year, and some may be rolled over into the next fiscal year. Moving on the right side, the O&M budget by account type, and this is the classification that we use for budget purposes. Beginning, they're listed from largest to smallest. First, we have the fuel and purchase power. In dark blue, we have the amount of the budget, and then in lighter blue, we have the total spent, and then we have the percentage of budget spent, and that's the percentage that I'm going to go over for each one. For fuel and purchase power, 34.7% at the middle of the year, and this percentage is anticipated at this time of the year since expenses pick up in the second half of the year. Then we have the personal services, that's 47.6%, and this is where it should be, which is 50% or less. And I also would like to point out that these two account types make up 75% of the total O&M budget. Third, the next one, we have the consultant outside services. This includes engineering, legal fees, and software maintenance, 40.6%. Then we have miscellaneous general expenses. This includes obligations to the SRWA and insurance, 48.4%. Materials and supplies, 45.8%. Office expenses includes utilities, training and travel expenses, dues and office supplies, 52.3%. Maintenance, this includes maintenance of equipment, building and structures, 32.6%. Minor tools and equipment includes computer equipment and software licenses, 44.2%. And then transportation, this is for the fuel and fleet maintenance and repairs, 67.5%. Now this classic category is more than 50% where we would like to be at, but we continue to monitor these expenses and we'll transfer additional funding as needed to cover the expenses for the remainder of the year. We also have some other schedules. In this case, we have the non-personnel O&M spending by division. And this excludes the personnel, fuel and purchase energy, and SRWA contributions. The first column, we have the division, and then the 2025 annual approved budget. The next column, we have the FY 2025 year-to-date actuals. This is for the 6 months through March 31st, and then the percentage spent year-to-date as a percentage. So the total approved budget, 42.3 million. The actuals, 18, I'm looking at the last line. Actuals, 18.5 million, and then the percentage spent, 43.8%. This following slides is the same information, but here we added the department for each division. Again, on this is the same totals as previously mentioned. Here we have the fuel and purchase energy by account, the grand total. Budget, 93.2 million. The actuals through March, for the 6 months, 32.3 million. And the percentage spent, 34.7%. Again, this is as expected. Personnel on spending by account. This is all the personnel services, including taxes and fringe benefits. The budget, 60.1 million. The actuals through March, 28.5 million, and the percentage spent, 47.6. Also, as we previously mentioned, sometimes there's a funding that is not needed for the remainder of the year, and departments notify us, so then we do the transfer to contingency. In this case, we have 2 transfers. One is from the power production, and this is due to budgeted O&M projects that are not anticipated to be completed in the current year. More likely, the request is going to be submitted for the next fiscal year. The amount of this request was 548,944. Also, there was another request to transfer to contingency for from the water plant for 44,360,000. Any questions?
George, go back 2 slides before that last slide, right there. Talk to me a little bit about 260 vacancy savings. It's $2.5 million. Those are vacancies that the utility is carrying?
Yes, these are the vacancies that during the budget, we know there's always vacancies. So we estimate how much those estimates, the value of those vacancies. In this case, when we adopt the budget, this is the amount that we calculate as anticipated savings from those vacancies. So this is reduced. We know we always have vacancies, so this is to account for those vacancies.
Marilyn, could you give us a value of these vacancies and a description of the vacancies that represent this $2.5 million?
I'm going to have to go back and come back, but I can provide that at a later time with the
I just
actual
think it's
value.
important for the board to understand that y'all carry this fund, and we understand that, but you're also carrying the vacancies. I'm sure some are critical, and perhaps some are not. So I would appreciate that. If you would share that with the board in the future.
We will.
Anything else? Any comments from anyone?
Can you go back one slide? So that there's a 7738. There's a $2.3 million credit.
The credit, I don't know the answer on that one, Mike.
Negative congestion.
The 2.3 million credit.
So that's a 5.8 million swing, like net effect, right?
We don't have the specifics right now. We can give and provide you an actual presentation on these are looks like congestions costs, unless somebody from our fuels group is here to provide how the numbers was doing it. So I have somebody from, this is our director of power supply. I'm not sure if you all have met him in the past, so.
Yeah, so what we've seen in the market is just a lot of congestion, and that is in our benefit.
Wait, that is in what? Sorry, I missed the last bit of that.
So congestion is in our favor, which means that there has been separation in price between our resource node and the load zone, and that's been in our favor, so.
I guess that's a good thing.
Is that primarily due to is that because of the transmission lines we own? Okay, that makes sense.
Okay, anything else? Mr. Martinez?
Yeah, I guess just in general, are there any concerns? At this point, I think the 6 month is just checking in, right, where we
Yeah.
are based on budget.
No concerns at this time. We're, overall, we're led at close to 50%. I believe we're below 50%, so there's no concerns at this time.
Okay, thank you.
Marilyn, what is the name of the new staff member? What's his position?
Yes, Mr. Corey Caldwell is coming from us from ERCOT, and so he started a few months back. And Mike, would you like to provide the rest?
Sure. I can give it a eulogy for a guy that's sitting next to me. So Corey joined us, I believe, mid-February, prior to joining Brownsville. He was with ERCOT there, and before that, he was with Pedernales Electric Cooperative and another place called Austin Energy. He's an electrical engineer and a strong background in trading and system operations within ERCOT.
I didn't want to put him on the spot. We welcome you to Brownsville and to the Public Utility Board and to the South Texas heat, but maybe it's no cooler or hotter than Austin.
Yeah,
or Central Texas.
just more humid.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Any other
It's good.
comments for the?
Yeah, just as good that we got to know you through savings, so hopefully there'll be more, more of that in the future.
We're going to associate him with good things, savings. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. All right, Ms. Gilbert, we'll move on to the next item, which is presentation discussion on the fiscal year 2026 budget calendar. Mr. Santillan again, thank you.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Yes, that time of the year where we start with our annual budget process for the FY 2026. And the process starts in late May until budget adoption plan for early September. Now, each task in the calendar leads to the next event, and for this reason, it's important to stay on schedule. And looking at the calendar, some of the key dates, the May 28th, the calendar was presented to the Finance Committee. Today, we're presenting the calendar to the board, and also today we opened the budget program for data entry. Continuing with the month of July 18th, we will produce the draft of the O&M budget. Later in the month, time spent analyzing the O&M budget in more detail with the goal of balancing the O&M budget as well as the CIP budget. And then for the month of August the 6th, the budget in draft form is presented to the Finance Committee. August 11th to the full board. And then the week of August the 18th to the 22nd, budget briefings are held with individual board members. And then finally, in September, September 3rd, the budget draft is presented in a board workshop. September the 8th, the balanced budget is presented to the board for approval. Questions?
George, I'm sure everyone is looking forward to that calendar.
Yes, we are.
Workshops and to the many meetings. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll move on to a drought update. Mr. Jaime Flores.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is Jaime Flores. I'm the Water Resources Administrator. I'll be giving you the drought update. So currently, U.S. combined ownership at Amistad and Falcon reservoirs as of May 24, 2025 was 22.0. As reported last month, Mexico agreed to an immediate transfer of water of 56,750 acre feet, and that resulted in the reservoir level going up to 22.5. But since then, Mexico would also agree to deliver more water from the Rio San Juan, a flow not managed by the treaty and which cannot be stored at the reservoirs or can be beneficial for the U.S. We actually used some of this water. We picked up 124 acre feet in March. They were supposed to start these deliveries May 14th, but just this past Thursday, we got a letter from the water master saying that the Rio Grande Water Master's Office is pausing requests for delivery of San Juan water because the water has been above 1,000 milligrams per liter since May 13th. So because of that, we're still using reservoir, water from the reservoirs, and that's why the 22.5 went down to 22 so quickly.
Sorry, can you repeat that? It's been above 1,000 milligrams per liter,
Yes, 1,000 milligrams per liter.
TDS then?
I think it's just salinity.
Okay.
I'm not sure if it's, they didn't specify it was TDS or, I think it's just salinity. So this water was going to be mainly for the farmers. So they applied this to the crops, it'll probably burn them. So it's not useful for them. So again, now we're dipping back into that reservoir level. Again, you can see there on May 3rd, it was 22.5%. May 10th, it dropped down to 22.4. And May 17th, 22.3. So again, we're slowly dipping into that. So the National Weather Service, June to August 2025 outlook for the lower Grand Valley, deep South Texas region. A harder than normal average outlook is favored during the June through August 2025 timeframe. Meanwhile, precipitation remains a toss-up across the region. Occasional rains in April and May have helped keep drought conditions in check, especially for the lower valley. Showers and thunderstorms with origins from the tropics can produce heavy rainfall and localized flooding. So we saw that a little bit last week. Falconer National Reservoir remained near historic lows at the end of May. Confidence is near certain, approximately 100% on total storage remaining at or near record lows through August. Only a tropical cyclone's remnants can help the reservoirs at this point. It's a bit too soon to speculate on summer tropical activity this far out, but an event like 2024's Alberto would provide beneficial rain in June. There are some indicators of late summer activity favoring the eastern and central Gulf. Again, water conservation is key until further notice. Stage 2 to 3 drought restrictions continue through early spring 2025 and are likely to continue until further notice based on inflows from Amistad and Falcon. Again, we're at square 22, so we're right in the middle of stage 2 drought restrictions. They remain the same. Watering schedule, just 2 days out of the week based on your number of your address, the last 2 digits of your address. The same thing for car washing. And non-essential watering is prohibited, such as washing buildings or sidewalks, using water for dust control, or allowing water to run off in the streets. We haven't got there, but if we do reach drought stage 3, it would be the same, but it would go down to 1 watering day for the week for lawn irrigation and for car washing. And there would be additional restrictions. Adding water to pools except to maintain structural integrity is prohibited. Operation of any outdoor ornamental fountain, pond for aesthetic or scenic purposes is prohibited, except to support aquatic life or where fountain ponds, recirculate water. The use of water from scenic and recreational ponds and lakes, resakas, and pumping water into them is prohibited except when necessary to support aquatic life. Surcharges, we haven't got there, but they remain the same as in the current drought contingency plan. Our drought messaging for May 2025, the website, drought resources, we had 59 visitors. On social media, we had 27 posts related to drought messaging, 13,798 unique views, 11,219 in reach, and 136 interactions. Our BPUB lobby messaging, 6,755 views, and community presentations, 9 drought-related discussions. Any questions for me? All right, thank you.
Thank you, sir, for that presentation. We'll now move on to presentation fiscal year 2023-2024 Brownsville Public Utility Board Annual Report by Ms. Alexa Pettis.
Good afternoon. Again, I'm here. So, this is an informational item. Just wanted to let you know that the annual report for the fiscal year 2023 to 2024, it's available already online. Of course, it includes everything from the financial performance to the strategic initiatives, community outreach as well. You can find it, of course, at that link. It's already available. We're going to have the physical copies as well, and it's going to be as well in English and Spanish. The report is approximately 25 pages, if I'm not mistaken. The English version, the Spanish is roughly 30, because the language is longer, right? But I don't know if you have any questions on that.
Questions, Mr. Nahara? Martinez?
Okay, and we'll be sharing this as well in our platform so that community is aware that if they want to review anything, they can click on that and I mean, it's open for everyone, everyone can download it. So it's about transparency with everyone. Mhm.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bettis. Ms. Gilbert, we'll move on to, I guess, some items for action or for recommendation. Number 4, presentation, discussion, possible recommendation for the selection of a firm to conduct external audit services for fiscal year ending 2025 through fiscal year ending 2027. Mr. Rangel.
Hello, good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the board. My name is Jordan Hale. I am the acting director of finance, and I'll be presenting on the external audit services RFP. And so BPUB just completed the 3rd and final year of a 3-year contract with our current external audit service provider. And so we had to go out for RFPs to hopefully get somebody selected by July, to have them start with the preliminary field work through the fall, and then hopefully get us a comprehensive financial report ready by March 31st, which is our deadline to submit those. I'll start off with the agenda, just to kind of give you all an overview of what I'll be covering today. I'll start off by talking about the RFP and the actual respondents. I'll provide some history on past external auditors. I'll also talk a little bit about GFOA's recommendations in regards to procuring an external auditor. I'll describe some of the advantages of choosing an external auditor that have utility experience and why that's important. I'll go into some general information for all of the respondents, provide some pros and cons for them. And then lastly, I'll review the team's recommendation based on the review and ranking for those proposals. So as I mentioned, we did have an RFP that was advertised on March 22nd and March 29th. That closed officially on April 23rd, 2025. We did contact 11 vendors. Our purchasing department did help us make those contacts. From those 11 contacts, we had 3 respondents, Baker Tilly US LLP, Burton McCumber and Longoria LLP, and Carr Riggs and Ingram LLC. And so as part of the RFP process, written within that, we did have a selection criteria. We wanted to know the firm's auditing approach and methodology. We asked them to provide a cost estimate based on the estimated hours they thought it would take to produce the report. We wanted them to give us their references and past performances, whether they had a really good understanding of our audit requirements of the utility organization, give us some of their experience and expertise, and then lastly, their available resources and the timeliness to meet our deadlines. And so if you see there the history of the BPUB external auditors, if you look back from 24 all the way back to 2016, the 3 respondents that we have are actually the 3 respondents that we've had these last 9 years. So we're very familiar with all 3 of the firms that submitted proposals. I did want to get into the recommendations from the external regulating agencies, GFOA. They're a professional organization that BPUB subscribes to. And so they do offer some best practices and recommendations when selecting an external auditor. And so I'll be reading through the slide. Governmental entities should enter into multi-year agreements of at least 5 years in duration when obtaining the services of independent auditors. Such multi-year agreements can take a variety of different forms. For example, a series of single-year contracts consistent with applicable legal requirements. Such agreements allow for greater continuity and help to minimize the potential for disruption in connection with the independent audit. Multi-year agreements can also help to reduce audit costs by allowing auditors to recover certain startup costs over several years rather than over a single year. And so that's why BPUB has had in the past 3-year contracts for each of our auditors. I know Dr. Holman at the Finance Committee meeting did make a recommendation that maybe we align ourselves with the GFOA's recommendation to have a 5-year contract as opposed to a 3-year. We did reach out to all 3 of the vendors to let them know that there was a possibility that the board would award a 5-year versus a 3-year. And so all of those vendors have been made aware that that might be happening. But when we get to the recommendation at the end, we can discuss that further. Then moving on to the advantages of a public accounting firm with utility accounting knowledge. As I mentioned in the previous slide, one of the selection criteria is that talks about their experience and their expertise. We wanted firms to showcase what their experience and expertise is through their proposals. And so I know this is kind of a busy slide, but I just wanted to highlight the 4 that we felt were the most important. And so starting off with the first one, an ability to review and audit BPUB's complex transactions at the audit team level with minimal consultation required. So as part of the proposals that we received, all of the vendors submitted their actual team that's going to be assigned to BPUB, and they did have all of the resumes in place, so we were able to go through those and figure out if they did have utility experience, specifically with the electric, water, and wastewater utilities. A lot of utilities have either or, but we have all 3, so we needed someone that's going to have a strong experience in all 3 utilities. Next, no need for management team to train firm staff on the utility industry or our operations. Again, we're looking for a firm that we wanted to learn from. We wanted an experienced firm that we could ask questions and get feedback from and learn from them and their current customers that are also utilities and kind of get best practices from them. Then assist management with implementation of GASB standards and provide example note disclosures used by other utilities. And so GASB statements provide accounting and financial reporting standards, and every year we have amendments to GASB pronouncements, or we have new GASB standards that are sent out, and we need to make sure that we know if they apply to BPUB and whether they apply to each of the utilities that we have. And so we really wanted to get somebody who was going to be an experienced firm that was going to be able to help us in understanding how we need to implement these GASB and if that needs to happen. And then lastly, provide examples and white papers of how your peers account for similar complex transactions. So again, a big thing is resources. We really wanted someone who was going to have access to other utilities out there to be able to give us examples of how they are handling certain financial transactions and how they're reporting them. Then on the general information on the responding firms, again, I don't want to go too into detail in this, but I do want to concentrate on the 4th row here, the number of utility industry customers. As you can see on here, Baker Tilly far and away has the most experience in terms of 1,600 utility customers that's currently engaged with. Burton, McCumber, and Longoria has 1. We are that one entity that they reported, and then Carl Riggs and Ingram had 7. Utilities that they work with. And all of those 7 utilities that they have are water organizations. So not really too familiar with electric, at least not that they said in their proposals. Then the last couple of rows here at the bottom, the timeline, as you can see on here, July to January, July through February, all 3 of them can meet the timeline that we set forth. Estimated number of hours, again, depending on the firm, these are the number of estimated hours that they think they will take in order to get that comprehensive financial report ready by March 31st. And then you'll see here, one of the biggest factors is cost. Baker Tilly is the highest price point at $85,000. Then we have Burton McCumber at $75,000 and Carl Riggs and Ingram last at $67,500. Moving on to the pros and cons of the responding firms, I'll start off with Baker Tilly. Again, the biggest pro for them is that they have access to over 1,600 utility clients that we can kind of tap into and see what it is that they're doing and kind of share notes and white papers on how they implement certain GASBs, how they do certain financial reporting, and then maybe hopefully implement those into our comprehensive report as well. They're familiar with BPUB. They're able to meet our deadline. Obviously, the cons on their end is that they are the highest price point. Moving on to Burton, McCumber, and Longoria, they are familiar with BPUB. They are actually the last auditor that we had, so they've been with us for the last 3 years. So they're extremely familiar with BPUB. They do have a mid-price point, so that's pretty attractive as well. And then they're also a local firm. The cons on them is that they do have limited resources. And again, BPUB is the firm's only experience with utility clients. And then lastly, we have Carl Riggs and Ingram, also another local firm. They are out of Harlingen. They are familiar with BPUB as well. They've been our past auditor. And then their biggest pro is that they are the lowest net price. Cons, they didn't provide any utility references. And so in terms of the recommendation, a recommendation was made to the Finance Committee based on the highest ranked proposal. However, the Finance Committee will make a recommendation to the full board on the selection of the firm to conduct external audit services for fiscal years ending 2025 through fiscal year 2027. So at this time, if you all have any questions, I can try to answer those and then maybe move to some board discussion on that.
Yeah, so, thank you for the
But you gotta talk to
presentation,
them.
very complete, lot of information. I think all three firms are very capable. Burton McCumber Longoria, they've been our auditor, I think, for the last 3 years,
Correct.
right? So we've been very happy with their ability to meet the deadlines and the quality of the audit. So although they only have one customer, which happens to be PUB, I think they do a very good job. And then CRI as well, they can do a very good job. Staff recommended Baker Tilly out of Austin. In the Finance Committee, we discussed that. We think they're very capable, but would rather go with somebody local as long as the price is in line, the cost is in line, and as far as the quality of the report is in line as well. And we just thought that in terms of cost, these two firms are at least less expensive by a little bit. Now, it's not a material amount, but we also thought that they're more than capable or more than qualified and know the utility and could do an outstanding job for us. So we would recommend that we go with a local firm, one of the two local firms versus the firm in Austin. Nothing against the firm in Austin, they're very capable, but we'd rather keep it local, especially if the cost is a little less. Do you have any comments?
There were a couple other things. The Baker Tilly one, not only is more expensive, actually, their per hour billing is almost double
Mhm.
what the local firms would be. So that's kind of, if they misestimated their hours, we'll have a bigger bill. So I completely agree. I think the lowest cost per hour actually turned out to be BML. After reading, the audit, and granted it didn't come from the local group, I have a hard time picking CRI. I would strongly oppose them. They did a poor job. Granted it was a different office. The local people are different folks.
Sure.
But, it was signed by CRI, and I don't think we should go with them. I am in favor of BML. We have had them for 3 years, and maybe extending their contract another 3 years would get us kind of closer to the
five.
GFOA recommendation
Sure.
of the 5 years. And I think that would be beneficial because, as everybody has said, getting a new audit firm up, and ready for your utility takes a lot of effort.
Correct.
So that's my thought.
Those who know the way I have advocated for local vendors, local companies, I always advocate for local and our regional and our state. I think the Burton folks, VML, have done a great job. Obviously, they're not as large as the Austin firm, but I would, my position would be to stay with a local firm that's very capable. So we want some more comments, Mr. Martinez or the mayor?
Yeah, I mean, just base it on the recommendation, from the staff. Personally, I would probably pick Baker Tilly, but that's why we're all up here as different board members, right? So we'll see how the vote ends. I'm not against BML. I do have my reservations for Car Rigs as well, but either way, I think we're going to be supported well.
Okay, we have a, let's entertain a
Agreed.
motion. Mr. Nahara, any comments?
No, I'm good.
Okay, we have a motion to move forward on this item with a recommendation for a firm. I'll make a motion that we move forward with the BML to provide us with these external auditing services.
And I second that motion.
We have a second?
Oh, we have one.
Question?
Question.
Yeah, for what term, Mr. Chairman?
Well, I think it's recommended that we get closer to the 5 that you were talking about.
Okay.
So let's do that.
So the recommendation will be for the 5.
Yes.
Okay.
And Mr. Nahara, you second that?
I second that.
Second by Mr. Nahara. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those against?
Nay?
There's one motion against. We'll record that, and this motion passes, and we'll move forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, let's go, move on to the next one. Consideration possible action to approve the professional engineering services contract with Garver LLC for the Robbinsdale wastewater treatment plant and direct potable reuse project phase 2. Ms. Leal.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is Marie Leal, and I am the Director of Water, Wastewater Engineering and Capital Planning. The Robbinsdale wastewater treatment plant currently produces an average of 8 million gallons per day of unused effluent outflows. Due to the current drought conditions that we've had here in the valley, it has become imperative for us to pursue all possible additional water sources, including water reuse. There's two types of potable water reuse: indirect potable reuse and direct potable reuse. The indirect potable reuse uses an environmental buffer, such as the resaca or a lake, before the water is being treated at a drinking water treatment plant. Direct potable reuse involves the treatment and distribution of water without an environmental buffer. BPUB has selected to implement an indirect potable reuse for the North Wastewater Treatment Plant. On July 8th of 2024, the BPUB board approved Garver LLC to provide professional engineering services for a phase 1 of this project, which included a feasibility study and also a Bureau of Reclamation grant application, which both have been completed, and we're awaiting possible grant funding. Phase 2 of this project will now include a TCEQ required pilot protocol development, engineering design, pilot construction management phase, as well as pilot testing support services, and a discharge piping evaluation and conceptual design. Garver submitted a fee proposal for the project not to exceed $585,064. Do we have any questions on?
Any questions to Ms. Leal? She just read her.
Did we get the report for the, or did the board get the report for the, for
Feasibility?
phase 1?
No, sir, not the board, but it is available. We did have a presentation before staff and the executive team from the Garver design team. And I think this was back some months ago, and but I can provide that to the board, along with their presentation.
I think it might be essential before.